I will prove to people why us young people are better than the older generation. We're up to date with what's going on. Styles change, fights change. We can bring new tactics in, and I feel like that's what the young people bring. Go to these older boxing gyms; they teach you the same thing over and over.
Aiysha for Green Diamond Boxing. I'm here with Ibrahim Uddin, who is a boxing coach. Hi, how are you today?
I'm all good, thank you very much.
So we're here at Ibrahim Centre, which is attached to the mosque as well. This is a space that you use now for doing boxing classes. So if we can just start from the beginning, how did you get into boxing?
So the way I got into boxing is when I was, or we're dialing it right back when I was about 6, 7 years old. I started karate, and then I got my brown belt in karate. So about 13, 14 years old, I think I was in around year 8, year 9. I joined my first boxing gym with my friend. I think that was down at Danson. It's called Danson ABC. Really good boxing gym. I was there for about a year, but it was a bit far from my house. I had to get a bus there. I had to rely on my friend to go to his house. So then I found a local gym called Amigos at ABC. So a really nice boxing gym. Loved that gym. Stayed there for years until COVID happened. But yeah, they taught me everything I know today, everything about boxing. The best coaches I've ever trained with, to be honest. But I had my first amateur fight February of 2020, and then a week later, lockdown come. So it was just my luck. Fortunately, I didn't get the win in that amateur bout, but we live and we learn those lessons. And then I'd actually set up to fight again a week later, but it never happened because COVID hit, or then lockdown hit. So that happened. During lockdown, we all got a bit big, and then for some reason I got frightened to go back to Amigo's gym because I put on a lot of weight. I didn't feel good anymore, so I wanted to start something new. So I went down to Stone Fight Academy in Welling. So that is a martial arts gym that specialises in kickboxing and MMA and BJJ. I started MMA for a while, for a good couple of months, loved it. Then I picked up the kickboxing, loved it. And then I think it was this, and then it was end of last year, 2024, aren't we?
Yeah, we are,
So, geez, where's time gone? 2023, September, or 2023, I had another boxing bout. I got a draw in that bout, but we don't talk about that one because the weights wasn't fair. Guy was a lot bigger, but anyway, got the draw in that fight and I loved it. It really kick-started me back into fighting. February of 2024, I went up to Manchester to compete in WKO, so that's World Kickboxing Organisation, and that was the English WKO Opens. I managed to get silver in boxing and then bronze in kickboxing. So I've got my medals. I should have brought them today, but I left them at home, unfortunately.
That's okay.
But then that's all over my social media anyway. And then
So you're doing both then? You're doing boxing and kickboxing at the same time, both of them?
yeah, I do boxing, kickboxing, and MMA. So they're the ones I do. I feel like after that WKO tournament, I've kind of put boxing at a rest for now. Doesn't mean I won't. You never know. I might just jump in and have another boxing fight. By the looks of it, probably not because my style has changed. But I'll get into more of why I feel like the kickboxing will affect boxing later. But yeah, after that in March, I took my first amateur MMA fight. Again, didn't get the win. I was going on a losing streak for a little while, unfortunately. But yeah, I took my MMA fight. Again, that was a tough fight, total different ball game. But then the boxing really plays a part in all of these sports. My kickboxing, my boxing, because it's all hands, and that's really what sets me apart from a lot of my competitors. Didn't get the win. Then on 11 days' notice, after taking that loss, I took my first amateur kickboxing fight. Got the win. That felt amazing. And it was against a Muay Thai fighter, and it was in kickboxing. I think I threw one leg kick the whole fight, and I just pieced him up with my hands, and that would solely come from boxing, because boxing will beat Muay Thai any day, and people were probably going to debate that for a long time. But I will say it now, boxing will always beat Muay Thai in that sort of aspect. And what's the best fighters in one championship fight these Muay Thai fighters? They stick boxing heavy, they win the fight. But yeah, and then now I've got another amateur kickboxing coming up end of August, so I think I've got about 29 or 30 days from today to prepare for that fight. I've got to start cutting weight soon. I've got about 10 kilos to get off, so that'll be a fun one to go down to. But yeah, that's the story up to now. I mean, if I'm going into why I opened the gym, I'm guessing that's the next question.
Yeah.
Why I opened the boxing gym. So I asked the mosque, Al-Emaan Centre, can they promote my fight? And this was back in 2023 September for my boxing fight. Unfortunately, they can't promote fights just because of the whole situation of being a Muslim. Some scholars don't agree with fighting. But then they approached me separately saying, due to you doing fighting, would you love to open up a centre here to teach all these kids how to fight? And I at first I was a bit skeptical, I'll be honest. I was 20 years of age there, still young. I'm like, do I want to coach? Because people always think coaching is an old man's thing. I'm a retired fighter, that's enough. But then one of my new coaches now, because I have recently changed gym to New Wave Academy down in Bromley, my coaches are so young. They're like not too much older than me, and I've realised us young people who are still in the game know more about the game than these old people. Again, I've got nothing to prove for it yet, but give me time, and I will prove to people why us young people are better than the older generation. We're up to date with what's going on. Styles change, fights change. We can bring new tactics in, and I feel like that's what the young people bring. Go to these older boxing gyms, they teach you the same thing over and over. I know what they're going to teach you, but I'm going to teach you how to beat that. That's the best thing about being taught by someone younger. You can be skeptical of it, but what I'm teaching you is what I'm going to use at the same time to beat my people. So yeah, I opened the gym October, straight after my fight. I opened this space, and I had one or two pupils for so long, 2-3 months, and I was like, it's the same thing. I'm not earning a lot, it's the same sort of faces, not a lot of people, and I was sort of not enjoying it because it's so quiet. And mashallah, over the last 3 months, it's picked right up. My classes are packed. 15 kids, about 10 adults in the adult session, about to open up another session on Sundays. I've got 4 kids who are ready to fight, 1 adult who's right on the brink of ready to fight. I've had to call in a second coach. And by the end of the year, I mean, my gym, AEC Boxing, Al-Emaan Centre Boxing, will have, hopefully, we will have fights under the gym. I mean, we should have at least about 5-6 fights under this gym by the end of this year. That's the plan.
That's amazing. So your progression in just year one has been amazing, hasn't it?
100%.
Why do you think that it's got so popular over this year? Like people obviously hearing about it. What is it that brings them back to the class again and again?
They're learning. I'm clearly teaching them something they've never. I'm teaching some of these people who have been to another boxing gym before, but they come to me and tell me, "You're teaching me things I have never even been taught." How many times you go to another boxing gym and they teach you how to post with your left hand? You don't get taught that in traditional boxing gym. You get taught that in kickboxing gyms, but it's a style that will be brought to boxing. Ben Whittaker is one of the biggest fighters at the moment. I went to watch him down at Selhurst Stadium. It's not a move commonly used, but you dive into the kickboxing Muay Thai world, even probably not as much MMA, but a lot of kickboxing and Muay Thai fighters really use that left hand, post up, blind the opponent. They normally throw a kick after, I'll be honest. But what Ben Whittaker's using that move, he's posting, changing the angle, and he's throwing a right hand, he's throwing a left hand. He's blinding his opponent to hit him. Again, the aim of boxing is to hit and not get hit. And he's doing that perfectly with a post. Again, older trainers are not going to teach you these sort of moves. Younger trainers like myself and a lot of people in the game who are young, under 30, still fighting, still active, are going to teach you these little tricks of the game. Going off the topic of boxing, for example, going to MMA, every time you're told to kick the leg, you're always told to kick high up the leg. Now a lot of these younger coaches are like, oh, kick behind the leg, kick the calf. It's one of those moves that these young coaches are really going to embed these new little tricks into you, or they're going to use old tricks and sort of twist them to how they can work now. Because, for example, if I get one of my boys out to fight, which they are going to soon, and they're going to fight an opponent who's been taught traditional boxing, traditional English boxing. I'm not teaching traditional English boxing. I'm teaching every style of boxing and even kickboxing. So my style of boxing is the way you're going to throw your hook, the way you're going to move your feet is Soviet style. I love the Soviet style of boxing. Dial into amateur Olympic boxing. All of these Eastern Europeans are beating the game with a wild card because of their style. The Soviet style of boxing, up on your toes. Bivol, for example, the way he just masterclasses his opponents, just up on his toes, the way he throws his hooks. Stuff you just don't get taught in English gyms. And the only English boxers that can do it, they only start to learn it when they get to the high levels, they get flown out and they get their experience elsewhere, but you're not taught it from the start. If you're taught all of the different styles from the start, that's it, you can pick.
So do you think that what's different here is that because you know more than boxing, you know about kickboxing, you know about MMA, do you think that that is what has given you that kind of edge to be able to teach a different way of boxing, because you can mix it in with some of the other styles and things you've learnt in other disciplines?
100%. The way, obviously, your boxing stance is always a traditional boxing stance. And I do agree with that. The boxing stance shouldn't change too much. So I do still teach some of the fundamentals and some of the basics. But there's so many other little tricks. I'm silent. Goes off on the wrong time.
It's okay.
Yeah, I still teach the traditional side of boxing, the footwork, and some of the shots should still be the same. But there's so many other little things you can teach. I can't give away all of my secrets, but again, I do post a lot of it on social media. For example, this guy I know and I work with him, he had his first white collar boxing fight. I told him, call me and I'll jump in your corner. Doesn't matter. He didn't call me, but it is what it is. We talk about that another time. But he went on my Instagram page and viewed a couple of my posts, and he said, you know what worked and how I won this fight? I used my left hand and I posted up, waited, blinded him, and then I chucked a right hand over the top. Tell me what other boxing gym teaches that technique. And that's just one of many techniques that I've learnt from these other gyms. The way to change your angle. A lot of people in boxing might not even heard of a swivel step. And again, it's a kickboxing move. You swivel step, you can throw a body shot and you can chop low. But I'm changing that into the style of boxing. You can use that post, take a swivel step and then hit a shot to the body. They can't even see you. You're well off angle. So many little things, and the way people move their feet in other sports and other disciplines can really be implemented into boxing. I feel like that's what sets me apart from other gyms.
Yeah. I think it might be useful for some people to understand what the difference is between all the disciplines that you do. So you have the boxing, you have kickboxing, you have MMA. Can you just define what are the actual differences between each of these disciplines?
Cool. With boxing, you can only throw your hands. That's what boxing is. With kickboxing, you can throw your hands and legs. So you can throw head kicks, you can throw body kicks, you can throw low kicks. You can also throw a knee to the body and knee to the head. MMA is everything. It's cage fighting. A lot of people probably on here might watch UFC. That's what MMA is. MMA is what they do in UFC. So you can throw your hands, you can throw your legs, you can throw elbows, you can take them to the floor, you can submit them. The difference between the kickboxing and boxing, you use the exact same gloves. With MMA, you use little 4-ounce or 8-ounce gloves that just cover your hands.
And in terms of like the difficulty levels, what do you think from all three of them is the most difficult one to do?
Interesting question, that. They're all as hard as each other. It's probably not the answer you're looking for, but each of them is so hard. I mean, in my eyes, I do think boxing might stand out slightly.
Interesting.
I know there's less to do in boxing, but you have to be perfect. There's no room for imperfection in boxing. MMA, there is room for imperfection. Kickboxing, there is room for imperfection. If you're not really good at throwing hands in kickboxing, you can make that up with your legs. You can make that up with your kicks. And MMA, if you're not good on the ground, you can make that up with your striking, or vice versa. Boxing, there's no room. You both can only throw your punches. You have to be perfect. There's no room for mistake, and that's what I think the slight difference is. I think boxing is a game of chess. Is where you have to be perfect for the full 12 rounds. You can't make a mistake, or it's so obvious because the levels in boxing are so much more distinguished.
And then obviously you said you've got an amateur fight coming up. That's in kickboxing.
Yes.
Yeah. Do you see yourself going back to regular boxing, being an amateur in regular boxing again?
Maybe. I'm not gonna rule it out, but for now, the answer's no. But I see myself being definitely coaching and cornering for many, many boxing fights. And my aim for boxing now is to really just get the best boys out there. And it sounds like a long shot, but it's not. In 5 years, in easily 5 years, because a lot of my kids are still young, one of them's going to hold a world title. And I see it. Some of these boys are so talented, and they've come to the right person. And they might not even know it yet, but they've come to the right person. And give it 5 years, some of them are going to hold some sort of world title. Some of them might be in the English team. Some of them might even go to the Olympics. You never know. It depends what route they want to take. But my goal is, if someone comes in here with a dream from day one, that's the goal. And that's my goal for them, is they come in saying, I want to win a gold medal in the Olympics. Cool, that's our goal. We'll take you there. Come in, tell me your dream, and I'll take you there. It's that simple.
Do you have a dream of going to the Olympics at all?
Olympics, nah, it's not really. It's not on my list, to be honest. Olympics has never bothered me. And myself winning a world title in my own disciplines, kickboxing or MMA, would be great. But again, it's on my list, but it's not something that I would die to do. In the sense, I would love for to have my own club with multiple belts on the wall from my boys that I won. And I think that's more my dream, is to win world titles as a corner. That's a great dream for me and myself. But if I can get one myself, that would be great as well.
Have you been watching the Olympics recently?
Yeah, I've heard about the women's boxing, let's put it that way. I haven't read into it enough to comment, and I haven't seen all the boxing, but the Olympics looking great. All of these fighters are looking great, they're sharp. Again, the difference, Olympics is amateur boxing, and I was explaining this to one of my friends, is the difference between amateur boxing and pro boxing is crazy. There's such a big distinguished difference. Amateur boxers are always up on their toes, they're fast, they're in, out. But with pro boxing, it's just not like that. You take your time, you're more stiff, you get in there, you feel out the first couple of rounds. So I feel like some people that are watching the Olympics need to really realise what style of boxing it is. It's amateur boxing, it is.
They do allow some pros now into the Olympics, right?
That's true. I mean, I don't like that. I'm not a fan of that personally. At the end of the day, I see the Olympics as a stepping stone into the pros. If you go to the Olympics, that should be your last rodeo as an amateur to then turn pro. I don't think you should go from a pro straight pro into the Olympics. It's sort of like, oh, why don't you just go have a normal amateur bout? It's just not fair. It's like, once you turn pro, you're pro. That's it, in my opinion. That's my opinion on it.
No, absolutely. So obviously we're here in the centre, and people can see that behind us we've got like some prayer mats as well, and we've got the mats that you do your training on. People obviously pray in this area as well. So how is it being an area which is obviously not just a regular gym, which is what you're used to? This is just a space which is just extended to from the mosque. How is that in training people in this space?
If you're a good enough coach, you can train anyone anywhere.
Okay.
I can train someone in the park. I can train someone in a 4x4 little garage if I wanted to. Doesn't matter the facility you give me. I'll still produce the best fighters in this area, and I'm confident on that. Again, I'm lucky. This is a nice space. I've got no bags. Okay, I've got no boxing bags. Boxing bags are only used in boxing gyms. Go to a kickboxing gym. The bags are never used. They look brand new. Like, the way you should drill yourself on a partner. If you can, like, okay, I can punch a bag, but it's not the same as punching someone's actual body. Like, the way I train these kids and adults and the people in my gym is, you train on your partner. Your partner is your bag, and that's how I do it, and that's how it should be done, and that's the style I've grown up in. Again, when I went to a boxing gym, it was a lot of bag work. When I've changed over to my kickboxing gym, it's all partner drills, and you learn so much more. You feel the body and where to hit the body. When someone says go for a liver shot, do you even know where the liver is? Do you even know how to find that spot, how high and how low to hit? If you've hit the body enough times and you've trained on a person enough time, and people's bodies are different. Some people are tall and some people are short. The bag's always the same size. So yeah, that's my opinion on it.
And the classes you do, is it just boxing, or do you do some classes for kickboxing and MMA as well?
Just boxing.
Just boxing.
Yeah.
Okay. And you've got kids and adults. So what's the ages for the kids that you do your classes for?
Kids vary. I vary from about 8 to 16 years old, and I had comments from parents like such a big age group. Cool. When your kid goes to secondary school and they're coming up to 10 years old, they're in year 7. They get bullied by someone in year 11 who's 15, 16 years old. What, you're sending your kid to school with that age differences? So wouldn't you rather your kid come to the gym and then train with someone that age who's gonna be respectful, who I'm watching, no one's gonna get beaten up, kind of thing? And they're getting used to someone that size. So when someone that size bullies them in school, they know what to do. They know the size. They know they can beat them up. That's why I do that age group. And from adults, it's experienced 16, 17 years old, and then 18 plus.
Right.
So if some of the kids are coming up to 16, 17 years old, 16, 17, and I know their experience, they can jump in the adult class. Say there was a really good 15-year-old. I've actually told him he can come to the adult classes. So. But I feel like these kids pick it up way quicker than the adults anyway. These kids are so much better in the sense than adults. Because as you're a kid, you pick up things twice as quick as an adult. So these kids will get double the information in the time they're here.
And what's the dream for your gym? Where do you see it going? Where would you like to see it end up?
A highly respected gym in the amateur boxing world. Again, I've got to still sort out all of the proper way to do it, and that's the way I'm taking my time of doing it. But again, I'm only 21 years of age. There's no rush for me. And again, all of the kids that are ready to fight are so young. So I've got lucky in that sense. They're 11, 12 years old. They've got years. I don't need to get them out fighting yet, but I'm going to get them out fighting just to prove to myself and to everyone that I know how to coach. And look where I've got them in this span of time. But the dream for the gym is, of course, open an even bigger place when I can in due time and get a couple belts for the gym. And then that's the plan, really. Take it step by step. There's no rush, but the gym will be a known name, like as you see other boxing gyms.
Yeah, inshallah. So in terms of if people wanted to join your classes, how would they find out more about how to join?
I've got a social media page called AEC Boxing, or you can just type in Al-Emaan Centre Boxing, or you can go on the Al-Emaan Centre Mosque website. My post is there as well, or my number.
We'll put it on the
Okay, cool. That's all good. So yeah, my number's in the description as well, so you can just send me a text, go over to the Instagram page, shoot me a message on Instagram. But also on my Instagram is all of the stuff I teach in my lessons. So it's not just for the lessons. After you've done the lesson, you can hop on the social media page and recap what you've just sort of done. I post the drills we've done every single time. So yeah, I don't post a sparring session. That's one thing I try to. That's one thing I do keep in reserve is people's sparring sessions. But apart from that, yeah, it's all over my social media, and the social media is starting to pick up slowly. So you might have already seen it on social media, not even realised. But yeah.
That's really amazing. And then lastly, just wanted to find out, so apart from, is it Instagram that you're on? Is there any other social media platforms that you're on?
Not yet. It's only the Instagram for now. I do need to open a Facebook and maybe a Twitter, but Instagram's the only one at the moment.
And of course, this space is attached to a mosque, so some people might feel like this class is only for Muslims. Is it open to non-Muslims as well?
Yes, of course. It's not just a Muslim class. Because it's connected to a mosque, I know a lot of people are a bit like, oh, can I come? Can I not? My other coach is not Muslim. He's just a British white guy. And he's actually, and he's not Muslim. Head to toe, he's full of tattoos. All over his body, he's full of tattoos. So at first, I was skeptical of bringing him myself. So I introduced him to the mosque. And the mosque said, look, it's your boxing centre. You run it the way you want to run it. At the end of the day, it's not just the Muslims, and I see why people will be skeptical. Do I want to bring my kids here? There's Muslims here, and I get it. Coming from, especially if you're coming from a white background or British background or other faiths, for example. But there's so many non-Muslims here. Especially in my kids' class, I've got about 4 kids who are non-Muslim. In my adult classes, half of them are not Muslim. So I'm so happy I managed from day one to push out there that it's not just for Muslims. It is. That's why I named it AEC Boxing, to be honest. I didn't want to put the mosque name fully out there, say Al-Emaan Centre, because as soon as people read that, they know it's an Islamic centre. AEC is broken up. I still want to represent the mosque, but when it comes to my children fighting or my adults fighting or I get anyone out there fighting, the mosque has nothing to do with it. And if the mosque had a lot to do with it, they wouldn't allow me to even get anyone out there fighting in general. So don't be scared to come down and really think it's just a Muslim centre. It's not. We accept all faiths, colours and beliefs down there.
Amazing. Ibrahim, it's been lovely to speak to you. Thank you so much for your time. Everyone, please follow him on Instagram and follow his journey, and we'll see you next time. Thank you very much.
Amazing. Step out, you're sliding your foot, you're just going like that.
أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله.
Taking your time, too slow, too slow.
Before we do this,
Keep going,
أشهد
keep going,
أن
your back.
محمد
Flick it up,
رسول
you're dragging down first, come down and flick it up. There, I'll turn over.
أشهد أن محمد رسول
There.